So I think I made it clear on this channel that I'm not the biggest fan of fixing people's artwork, at least how it's done nowadays on the internet by Joe Schmoes and Schmucks. And that's mostly due to the fact that when a person fixes art, they'll often put themselves on a moral high ground or to shame the artist or to make them seem like they're speaking for a marginalized group of people. However, I think it's important to understand that there's a difference between fixing art and offering constructive criticism, because there is a big difference, and besides the word terminology being thrown around, it's important to consider what words are being used. When someone fixes art, they're automatically saying that something was broken or wrong in their eyes, which if you don't like a design, that's perfectly fine. You're more than welcome to say that you don't like it, and you're more than welcome to voice your disagreements with it. But you shouldn't shame an artist or a design and feel like you're the better person for taking said design and saying that you fixed it. It's fine to offer criticism to people and their work. That's how we improve as people. It's how we evolve. It's how we can make the best work that we can. However, if your criticism is added with misogynistic, bigotry, or basically calling people less than savory characters, you're doing nothing but being toxic yourself and not really helping the artist or yourself's image as well. Especially when your own art isn't all that great either.
Come on, baby, give me some heresy!
That being said, there is actually a good way of quote-unquote fixing artwork. And the best way to do that is to be calm, respectful. Remember that the art is subjective, and just because you don't like how a design looks, that doesn't mean it's objectively bad. Nor does it mean it's actually objectifying a character or gender. The best way to illustrate this is with a video that I recently watched from BAM Animation. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing their name right, but who the frig cares? On how to improve the characters' designs. If you haven't seen the video, it's a good watch, and I'll link it down in the description below.
This blue and this turquoise are both cool colors. Without line art, how can I tell where the ear ends and the dress begins?
If we were to turn the dress into a warmer color, it becomes the dominant color that complements the blue instead of competing with it.
But wait, color is more complicated than that. What about value?
Not only do these guys not insult the artwork that's submitted to them, giving respect to the artists who put time and effort into their design work, they also give valid critiques and tips without having to ultimately reverse engineer a character. And that to me is how you actually give positive constructive critiques to a person's artwork. Because if you're going to be combative about a piece of work, you make it so the original artist isn't going to listen to you, as well as incite hate from other people who disagree with how you went about it. By being respectful to the original work, as well as treating the artist well, like a person and not a monster, you not only make yourself to seem like a good person without giving off a pompous ego, but the artist will be more than willing to listen to you. I get that in this time where we basically talk to people through screens and our thumbs.
And welcome to parenting in 2015. They're all just completely transfixed.
And that Twitter is basically how people talk to other people, and Twitter's a terrible place to hold conversations, what with people being able to not only hide other people's comments or block them without notice. It's basically a terrible place to have a conversation with. And this is where we get into ZeeFixesArt. Yes, I'm aware that this topic has been done to death, but they're the most recent example and probably the most talked about. Hell, knowing how well known they are, I could probably just say their name, and most of you probably know exactly who the hell I'm talking about without having to show an example of their work. Hell, I don't want to show their work since it'd be playing into their toxic mindset of, oh, these people are giving me attention, which, hey, enjoy that! Probably by the time this video is done, I'll probably forget who the hell you are and just get back to making more fun content. I got a JoJo video in the works, and I'm also working on a Yeek video, because that thing's getting a garbage content update, so that'll be fun to talk about.
Guess I always had a special spot for gingers.
Hey, careful with that word. That is our word.
That was truly cringeworthy.
But until then, I want to put it out there that I don't buy that Z is a troll, at least not how it was presented and how people have been interacting with the person. Not only because of there being a few times where they have privated their Twitter account, but I've also actively gone after people like Creepshow However, that's for later. Now, obviously, there's problems with this piece of artwork. I mean, aside from the obvious inability to draw legs, the broken thumb, the lack of feet, and how apparently Froppy's left arm is broken given how her elbow is pointing towards the camera.
Oh, he broke my little arm!
To be considered fixed in this artist's eyes was to basically strip away a character's original race and figure and basically turn them into a dark-skinned character whose odd body proportions that I suppose are supposed to be for body positivity for some reason. This is not fixing art. And this is something that Z did a lot of, even going so far to do the same thing to an actual portrait of one of Creepshow Art's patrons. Your internalized misogyny is showing! This is probably the worst way to go about fixing art, because it's not an attempt to better the artist whose art it is that you are fixing, but rather to put yourself on a pedestal, all the while degrading the artist. What's even funnier is that if you consider what Z is doing, apparently desexualizing Asian-based characters, because most of the examples I've seen are anime girls who are all Japanese, it comes off as a double-edged sword and a double standard, as well as just being plain stupidity. Let me put it like this. If you're desexualizing a character by making them bigger, having body hair, and dare I say, darker skin, then doesn't that mean that you're giving the impression that these features are not inherently attractive? Let's also not forget the issue of putting down Asian characters by saying that they are disgusting. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for representation in artwork, but jamming it down someone's throat while belittling other people and ignoring what other people say isn't the way to go. If anything, that's a sign of bigoted thought work. I don't care if someone changes the race of a pre-established fictional character. If anything, it's a fun little art exercise in order to practice different interpretations of a character, which is important when you're designing characters as it gives you a chance to get outside your comfort zone. And it's even better when it's just done for fun and a challenge that people do all the time, like the Artist Challenge. And please allow me to get a little off topic here because I've been holding on to this for a while and I'm not going to have another chance to talk about this, so why the frig not? Race bending in art isn't inherently a bad thing. It's the context around it that matters. For example, with the Sailor Moon art piece right here, saying what she did is a bad thing is stupid. Because this was a redraw challenge. Because we've seen Sailor Moon be drawn as different characters, her being a skeleton, her being a fish. I've seen a lot of different things done for this challenge, and as I stated before a long time ago covering the Nessa and supposed whitewashing of the character, link in description if you want to watch that mess of a video, the issue wasn't because people drew Nessa white. It was because she was a lighter shade of brown and people lost their shit and went after two artists. The drawings of Nessa being white were intentionally done to be offensive due to the controversy with a different person due to lighting issues. It's still Nessa, but someone purposely made her skin white to be offensive in this regard. This Sailor Moon picture was made to be in the likeness of the artist and she didn't intentionally make it to be offensive to white people. Most of the intentionally whitewashed pictures of Nessa were from the Japanese artists that were getting sick of being harassed by Western fans for not using the approved skin color in her art. There was an artist who disgustingly retaliated against whitewashing complaints by literally drawing her as a monkey in her outfit though, and I think that might have been a Western fan, but that's really disgusting and going way above the line in that regard. The problem with whitewashing characters in fandoms is that people will accuse and harass artists simply because they colored the character slightly lighter than the official art. It doesn't matter if the piece in question has a lot of lighting or if the color palette in general is washed out. These fans will still hound you to cave in and for you to fix your art. I've seen take an artist's work and fix it by using the approved skin color. Sorry, I know I got a little off track there, but it's something that I've been wanting to get off my chest for a while, and now watch as all the DK fans who are watching my video will probably go tell on me to Daddy DK, because I dare to call him out on his bullshit. But we were talking about ZeeFixesArt. I just had to get that on my system. And just to point out, yes, I am aware that Z got hacked on Twitter. That is rather horrifying given to what I've seen on her Twitter, but then again, that's the attention that they wanted. So here you go! If you want my opinion, while I certainly don't approve of Z fixing art and being dickish about it, some of the backlash is disgusting. Like, I've seen people wanting to send her gore porn, I'm like thinking, what the hell?
How dare you!
I'm not going to show this stuff because it'd be more of a reason for YouTube to kick my ass off their website, but my issues with Z stand, and I do hope that if they start over or get their account back, that they at least learn from this disaster, not try to be such a dick about fixing art. Now this is done under the assumption that this wasn't done on purpose, just to incite hate, and then basically have the hacker, quote unquote, take over so that way they can show their real art. I mean, it's a conspiracy theory, I don't know if it's true or not, I've just heard it, so we'll see what happens down the line, but whatever. This video is made under the assumption that Z was actually a person, and this was still hacked, And it's still a good example because I do see people who do the same thing that Z supposedly did. Artwork is something beautiful in our world, and it's something that shouldn't be used to spite others simply because you don't like how their characters look. If you don't like a character's design, that's fine. You don't like if the character is showing skin? Hey, more power to ya. You see an issue with either character's anatomy or coloring? Good on you! You want to see how a character looks if they're a different race? Hey, go for it. If you've got the skill and talent, I say do it! In the long run, that stuff doesn't really matter. If anything, it's a good art exercise. But the moment that you begin to put down the original artist and begin to call these things like racist, misogynist, bigot, or what have you, that's when it stops being a fun exercise and when it starts to become a problem. Now, if Z is a real person, I do not approve of what's been happening to them. And frankly, it's kinda disgusting because what the fuck? I don't approve of it all, okay? Just making that clear. I don't like Z. I don't like the people who are harassing them. And I think they're both doing stupid things and acting like pricks. Anyway, that's pretty much all I gotta say on this for fixing art. Go the hell away now. I gotta go back into some terrible gameplay footage and do some real videos.
Guess I always had a special spot for gingers.
Hey, careful with that word. That is our word.
Somebody kill me, please!